This week on Channel 8 News, we'll be looking at the aftermath of the Tehran prison fire in Iran, how small businesses teamed up together to raise awareness about breast cancer, and more. Your Channel 8 News starts right now.
Thanks for tuning in to Channel 8 News, the show where we provide news coverage on the Northwest Missouri State University campus and in the Maryville community. I'm Katie Byrd.
And I'm Alexis Kuhnert. Before we get into this week's stories, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notifications button for all the latest news and updates. At least 8 people were injured after a fire broke out at a prison in the Iranian capital of Tehran last Saturday. That's according to state media cited sources at the scene of Evin prison. State media also wrote the city's Governor General, Mohsen Mansouri, has said in an interview that the blaze was quoted as started by some prisoners.
CNN, however, cannot independently verify this information. Mainly political dissidents, however, are believed to be contained at the prison. After social media footage emerged showing the notoriously brutal Evin prison in Tehran on fire, Iran's state media IRNA, citing sources on the scene, said that 8 people were injured and there were no reported deaths.
According to Tehran's Governor General Mohsen Mansouri, the fire in the prison where the regime incarcerates mainly political dissidents has been contained and peace is maintained. State media wrote that Mansouri said in an interview Saturday night, the main issue was the fire started by some prisoners, which was controlled and contained by the fire brigade. Now the situation of the prison is completely under control and peace is maintained in the prison complex. And the streets around the prison are being monitored and under control, he added, according to state media. For future updates, be sure to tune in to Channel 8 News.
And in other news, the IRS is reaching out to more than 9 million Americans who may be missing out on COVID-related tax benefits. Many may not be aware that they can claim the 2021 Recovery Rebate Credit, the Child Tax Credit, and the Earned Income Tax Credit, among other benefits.
Eligible taxpayers could receive 5-figure payments, including stimulus money, if they qualify. The Internal Revenue Service is focusing on families and individuals who haven't filed a tax return yet for 2021. Millions of low-income Americans, in particular, do not appear to be taking advantage of the temporary tax provisions Congress approved during the pandemic.
The IRS is reminding them that they don't have to have big earnings to benefit and that they can still file even if they miss the April deadline. Starting this week, letters will be going out to remind taxpayers that they have to take action before the November 17th deadline.
When we return, we'll be kicking it over to Bearcat Update with Skyler Stamps. Don't go away.
KNWT for Hire is all about sharing a story, a message, and connecting the community. We cover a multitude of events, both within the university and Maryville. We roll in, we set up, and we capture. We're here to offer an experience, not only for those present, but for all.
Back to Channel 8 News. I'm Katie Byrd.
And I'm Alexis Kuhnert. Before we continue to the news, we're going to kick it over to Bearcat Update with Skyler Stamps.
Thanks, ladies. Welcome back to Bearcat Update. I'm your host, Skyler Stamps. It'll be a busy week here on the Northwest campus as preparations for homecoming are underway. This week, I took a look at the history of Northwest football and their success during homecoming. Check it out. Northwest Missouri State, a powerhouse in Division II football. Alumni from around the world come back for this one special day during football season, homecoming. It was the year 1946 when the Bearcat football team stepped into Bearcat Stadium to play in the first ever homecoming football game to defeat Missouri State 7-0. It came just 1 year after the Bearcats didn't field a team because of World War II. From that point on, the Bearcats found success during homecoming, winning 11 straight games, including one tie. After that, the Cats made it a known fact that there was magic at Bearcat Stadium. From 1946 to the present, the Bearcats would boast 47 more homecoming wins. Mel Tjeerdsma, the winningest football coach in Northwest history, took the Bearcats from shambles and built them into a football powerhouse. In his 17 years, he led the Bearcats to 15 homecoming wins and 3 national championships, including this 1998 clip versus Carson Newman.
Northwest Missouri State, they are the national champions. Chris Greisen, the senior, has gotten it done. 24-6 is our final score as they carry the coach off the field.
The next year, Tjeerdsma and the Bearcats kept the trophy at home with arguably the best football game in Northwest history. The Bearcats earned this one in a 58-52 quadruple overtime win against Carson Newman for the second year in a row. For many Bearcat fans, it's a trip down memory lane, from reliving the national championships, the homecoming games and events, and most importantly, rooting on their Bearcats. Bearcat Stadium will be packed and the Bearcats will put on a show on Mel Tjeerdsma Field versus Northeastern State to try and extend their homecoming win streak to 7. On Saturday, Bearcat Stadium was full and the Bearcat football team put on a nail-biting show with the final score coming with seconds to spare. Here's a few highlights. Did we have a fun one on Saturday or what? The day started with a bang when Sam Phillips takes down Kellen Simoncic for the safety in the end zone for 2. Still in the first quarter, Mike Hohensee finds Keegan Sturdy on the outside as he's able to shake off a couple Washburn defenders for the Bearcat touchdown to make the score 9-0 in favor of the Bearcats. Military appreciation, the cannon blows. Just before halftime, Mike Hohensee connects with Jamar Moya to cap off the 3-play, 63-yard drive to make the score 23-10 at halftime. Washburn fights back to take the 1-point lead, but Mike Hohensee gets his 3rd touchdown pass of the day to Kashawn Griffin to go up by 1. With 4th and goal, the Bearcats could stop the Ichabods to secure the win, but Kellen Simoncic is able to scramble away and put the Ichabods up by 2. It looked like Washburn was going to steal this one from the Bearcats, but in 2 plays, the Bearcat offense was in Cole Lamel's range as he nails a 36-yard field goal with 2 seconds remaining. The score would end 32-30 in favor of Northwest. And in other news, the Bearcat volleyball team came out victorious in all 3 of their games inside Bearcat Arena this week. The wins included 2 ranked opponents in number 25 Central Missouri and 10th ranked Washburn for the sweep over the Ichabods on the regular season. They'll be back at home this Friday to take on Missouri Southern. That's all the time we have here for Bearcat Update. Be sure to tune in next week to stay connected to all things Bearcat sports. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Skyler. When we come back, we'll be looking at a concert hosted by the Office of Diversity Inclusion, an event focused on bringing awareness to breast cancer, and more. Don't go away. Back to Channel 8 News. I'm Katie Byrd.
And I'm Alexis Kuhnert.
Latin music is as rich and diverse as the 34 countries and territories it represents. With a variety of genres and styles, it documents the historical journey of Hispanics around the world.
The lead guitarist, vocalist, and songwriter for the band making movies, Enrique Che, stated, "The goal is to create music that includes every bit of our individual identities. Music is our way to find a deeper understanding of our own stories. It's a healing of sorts." Last Thursday, the band traveled to Northwest Missouri State University to take part in the festivities in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month. Here's what we know. Last Tuesday, the Office of Diversity and Inclusion hosted a concert for Hispanic Heritage Month. The band Making Movies played for the students at the Ron Housen Performing Arts Center. Making Movies is a psychedelic Panamanian band that makes American music with a sound that encompasses the entirety of the Americas. Making Movies crunches classic rock into Latin American rhythms, African-derived percussion, and styles like rumba, merengue, mambo, and cumbia in a way that feels oddly familiar, yet delivers invigorating chills of hearing something singularly special. I spoke with Kira Shelby and Jessica Petticourt, students here at Northwest.
I actually went to a discussion earlier with the group. I didn't know anything about them, but after that discussion, I thought that they were really interesting and I wanted to check them out. So I came to their awesome concert. It was great. They had like slower songs and everything, but they also involved the crowd a lot. They had us get up and clap and dance, and it was so fun. I absolutely enjoyed every bit of it.
I love music. I'm a music major, and I'm actually Latina myself, so learning more about music is about my culture is definitely a part of my favorite thing to do. So probably not, but like as the concert went on, I definitely did, because it made me feel more connected, obviously, to my culture, and just learning more about the styles of music that Hispanic and Latin people can make. So.
Each member, Enrique Che, vocalist, guitarist, and songwriter, his brother Diego Che, bassist and experimental vocalist, percussionist Juan Carlos Charand, and Duncan Burnett, newly incorporated into the band on drums, is enthusiastically committed to music history, to uncovering connections between genres and cultures, both their own and otherwise. They're all lifelong musicians too, hailing from disparate yet similar backgrounds. Parents that cherish music, fathers that kickstart cultural movements, families in which gospel is critical to their very existence. For Stories That Matter to You, this has been Alexis Kuhnert of Channel 8 News. In related news, as Hispanic Heritage Month comes to a close, a massive project is underway in Washington, D.C., where organizers are working to build the country's first ever national museum, dedicated to the Latino experience within the Smithsonian Institution. CNN's Isabel Rosales sits down with Grammy Award-winning producer Emilio Estefan on what this means for the Latino community and beyond.
Music, movies,
we don't talk about Bruno,
and food. Latino culture has been intertwined with the United States from the very start.
It's so incredibly important for people to understand, for example, that we've been here before there was a United States of America for over 500 years, that we're indigenous and immigrant.
Now, for the first time, the Smithsonian is working toward a national museum dedicated to American Latino contributions to U.S. art, history, culture, and science.
The Latino experience is American history, and I want to make sure our history and our stories will be preserved for future generations.
Madonna,
Mark
Anthony, Thalia.
Emilio Estefan is on the board of trustees for the museum. The music producer shot to fame, working alongside his wife, Gloria.
I mean, when I went to the label, they told me this music will never work. Do more things.
More than 40 years and 19 Grammys later, Emilio says taking part in the museum is all about paying back his good fortune.
What it represents to me is a tribute to the American dream.
The project is years in the making.
It's taken quite a bit. You know, it has to go through legislation, pass in Congress, and it requires an effort. It requires that struggle for people to step up and ask for this museum to be built.
Finally, in December 2020, Congress did just that, passing legislation calling for the Smithsonian to establish the National Museum of the American Latino. A preview gallery for the museum is open now at the National Museum of American History in Washington, D.C. Its first exhibition, Presente, a Latino history of the United States, features art, interactive displays, and artifacts.
When you see a Cuban raft with two people that are riding this tiny little boat the size of a canoe, that shows you the struggle and the power of an object to share that story.
Curators hope the museum's appeal will spread beyond Latino communities.
They'll come in and see stories on immigration, on resiliency, on those struggles, and they'll draw parallels and they'll see that they share a lot in common with Latinos, and that's really important.
While reflecting the diverse experiences within.
Doesn't matter if you come from Mexico, from Argentina, from Cuba, maybe from Venezuela, from Puerto Rico. I think this brings unity, it brings pride. I think it's important that we feel proud. I'm very proud, that I was born in Cuba, but I'm very proud that I'm an American citizen.
The next big step is to break ground on the museum. Altogether, it'll take at least 10 years for it to be up and running. And that'll happen right here at the National Mall or near it, home to so many other Smithsonian museums. For the people organizing this historic undertaking, it will be worth the wait.
I think that's what is so important, to keep this alive for so many generations to come, about the beginning of a beautiful story.
I'm Isabel Rosales, reporting.
Again, that was Isabel Rosales with CNN. October is known as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. In fact, many businesses here within the Maryville community teamed up with the Mosaic Medical Center to raise awareness about this disease. Here's what we know. On the afternoon of Tuesday, October 11th, the White Elm Mercantile and Blue Willow Boutique teamed up with the Mosaic Medical Center to host the first ever For the Girls event centered around breast cancer awareness. This event hosted vendors, pop-ups, and staff from Mosaic who were able and ready to schedule mammograms for Maryville community members. I spoke with Mosaic Maryville's Community Relations Manager to learn more about the event.
My name's Kelsey Meyer, and I'm the Community Relations Manager at Mosaic here in Maryville. We obviously try to do a ton of stuff during October for breast cancer awareness, and those early prevention screenings are so important. And so we wanted to do a collaboration with Stephanie here at Blue Willow and White Elm, and we thought it'd be super fun to make it a whole For the Girls event. So what are ways that people can do something productive but also be pampered a little bit? So that's why we're doing a lot of fun stuff with the Eden Coffee. We're gonna have yoga at 4, and then all of our mammographers are on site right now to get everybody scheduled. And if you do that, even if you schedule it a year in advance, because that's what a lot of people are like, well, I've already got mine for the year, but we can kind of look ahead and get you scheduled for next year. And if you do that, then we have all these fun swag bag stuff with a lot of kind of girly stuff. So we really just wanted to make it pink, fun, pampering, while doing something super important that can really benefit your health in the long run.
I also spoke with Alyssa Hipsher, a Maryville business owner, to learn her take on the event's importance.
I think it's really important to support your small businesses because a lot of behind the scenes, people put a lot of hard work into what they're doing, and because it's a really good cause supporting breast cancer this weekend.
This event was a great way for Maryville businesses to connect with community members and to support Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Until next time, I'm Katie Byrd with Channel 8 News. And in related news, it might not look like much, especially if you don't understand phrases like cortical neuronal culture maintenance, but it basically explains in an experiment where researchers had brain cells play a video game. If you watch closely, that's the game Pong being played by neurons. Here's the science class reminder for you. Neurons are the little messengers that tell your brain what's happening in the world around you, and they make your muscles move.
In a paper published this week in journal Neuron, researchers say they connected the neurons of humans and mice to a computer setup to play Pong, and then sent out information to neurons about when their paddle is making contact with the ball.
Over the course of their study, they say the game showed that neurons could, quote, adapt activity to a changing environment in a goal-oriented way in real time. In other words, this kind of work helps us understand the brain better, which could impact everything from medicine and diseases to robotics. Also, if you're a fan of all things video games and rarely tech-related, be sure to check new episodes of Gen 2 every week right here on our YouTube page at KNWT-TV.
Well, that is all the time we have here at Channel 8 News, but before we go, be sure to click on the links below to rewatch certain sections of our show over all the events here at Northwest we mentioned in this episode.
We also want to hear from you guys, so leave a comment below on these stories. And be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button for all the latest news and updates, as well as our other content right here on our YouTube page at KNWT-TV. For the stories that matter to you, I'm Katie Byrd.
I'm Alexis Kuhnert.
And have a great night.